From the MNN studios, you're watching Midday.
Good evening and welcome to Midday. At the top of the hour, from Gaza, diplomatic moves towards a ceasefire in Israeli-Palestinian conflict gathered pace on today after U.S. President Joe Biden called for de-escalation. But Israel kept up its bombardment of Gaza and Hamas rockets fire resumed after a pause. A senior official in the Hamas militant group predicted a ceasefire within days. An Israeli minister said Israel would halt its offensive only when it had achieved its goals. Rocket attacks on Israel stopped for 8 hours on today, the 11th day of hostilities, before resuming against communities near the Israeli-Gaza border. Israel continued its airstrikes in Hamas-run Gaza, saying it wanted to deter Islamist groups from future confrontations after this current conflict has halted. In Germany, where it appears that the economy is heating up to inflationary levels, German producer prices rose 5.2% year-on-year in April, the biggest increase in nearly a decade, data showed on today. And a further sign that the supply bottlenecks are leading to increased inflation pressures in Europe's largest economy. Now, if you're buying into German goods and services, the time to get in may be now. The rise in producer prices followed a 3.7% year-on-year increase in March. Compared to previous month, producer prices were up 0.8% in April. The index looks at factory gate prices, meaning before products or components are further processed or go on for sale. Now, it can therefore give an early indication of the development of overall consumer price inflation. The supply bottlenecks and overall economic recovery are expected to push up price pressures in Germany, with the government forecasting consumer price inflation to jump to 2.2% this year and to ease to 1.5% next year. In Moscow, the Kremlin today said that President Vladimir Putin had yet to decide on whether a summit within the U.S. counterpart, Joe Biden, would go ahead, but hailed talks between the two countries, top diplomats, as a positive signal. Now, ties between Moscow and Washington are at a post-Cold War low, after Biden in March said he thought Putin was a killer, prompting Moscow to recall its ambassador to Washington. Despite his remark, Biden has said he would like to talk with Putin during a trip to Europe next month. Now, Russia has said it is weighing up the proposal. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken talks in Ireland and yesterday were the first in-person meeting. They said they had serious differences on how they viewed world affairs, but still find ways to work together. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the talks would help Moscow decide on the summit option. Now, he continued on by saying, without a doubt, this is a positive signal. In technology, Berlin-based software startup Pitch styled itself as a PowerPoint killer when it launched last October. Now armed with fresh financial backing, it wants to become a new YouTube for presentations. Founder CEO Christian Rieber has raised $85 million in revenue funding a round led by Lakestar and Tiger Global, in which existing investors, Index Ventures, and Thrive Capital also chipped in. Now, Rieber is also rolling out a series of new features to build a content and publishing ecosystem that he says will serve as the basis for a global community of creators that can share work and innovate together. Now, Rieber announced today that we are working towards building the world's first complete platform for presentations. In financials from Johannesburg, South Africa's central bank left its repo rate unchanged at 3.5% in a unanimous decision on today, saying it saw a risk of higher inflation but that the current lending rate was supportive of the economic recovery. The Reserve Bank, SARB, has now kept rates on hold in its last 5 meetings, resisting pressures to match rate hikes by fellow emerging markets, central banks. Now, headline consumer price inflation increased to 4.4% year-on-year in April, its highest since February last year, from 3.2% in March. Data from Statistics South Africa showed on Wednesday. Now, the bank trimmed its forecast for consumer price growth in 2021 to an average of 4.2% from 4.3% in March. It left forecasts for CPI 2022 and 2023 unchanged at 4.4% and 4.5% respectively. And finally, at the movies, the movie Peter Rabbit 2 hops the top spot as reopened UK box offices roar back to life with a £1.5 million grossed. Some 80% of indoor cinemas across England, Scotland, and Wales reopened on Monday, May 17, after months of being shuttered due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, judging by the first 2 days of the box office collections, UK audiences are eagerly quenching their thirst for cinema. Box office collections were £633,758 on Monday and £474,055 on Tuesday, totaling £1.1 million or $1.6 million. As many as 14 films opened on Monday, though it was a modern take on the fuzzy-tailed children's classic that dominated. And this is your glimpse at World News for the Hour. For Midday, this is Charles Rivers. We'll see you around the world tomorrow.